In the early morning hours of August 27, 1974, the body of Clarence Olligood, Beaufort County, North Carolina's lone night jailer, was found in one of the jail cells. The 62-year-old white man had been stabbed 11 times with an ice pick he kept in a desk drawer.
Okay, as we should all know, women have the right to defend themselves from a sexual attack in any setting. There was a huge case in the 1907 this is like the 50th anniversary or so, of a woman named Joanne Little.
At first, the incident appeared to be a simple case of murder and escape by a black woman prisoner, the lone occupant of the women's section, serving time for breaking and entering. Within days, another surprise. The missing woman, 20-year-old Joanne Little, pleading self-defense, gave herself up to authorities. The case has become a cause among women's and civil rights groups, which are raising allegations about what goes on in small-town jails and what rights women have to defend themselves against attack.
I just didn't know what to do. I was so frightened I didn't know what to do. So I can't even explain how I felt in that, because it's even now it's unexplainable. You know, you wouldn't even be able to understand it, until you're in my position.
And the matter of running away from the jail came from what kind of feelings within you?
Knowing that, I just can't explain it. Knowing the people there and how they are, there's no way of telling how they would have reacted. There's no way of telling whether I would have even been able to be sitting here now telling you what happened. There's no way of even telling you whether I would have even been able to get a trial.
Joanne Little was born in a small town, Washington, North Carolina, and she probably got involved with drugs. She was getting arrested for like theft and burglary and stuff like that, and was in and out of jail. So she found herself in the but okay, you stole something and you're in jail. That's one thing. So she finds herself in the Washington, North Carolina, the small town of 10,000 people jail. And she ends up a guard 11 times, and he DIESs. She claims self-defense. Now, this is at a time in the mid-70s. This is before, I don't know if you guys are old enough. I'm just barely old enough to remember in the early 80s when they started enforcing, you hear guys complain about, the police. They had to enforce that domestic violence. Like, you could beat women up in the 70s, like, for sure. You even see interviews with women in the 70s. Yeah, my husband, I got smart and he had to smack me around. I deserved it. Society was very different. Anyways, Joanne Little, black woman in the South, goes on trial for mazurking a white jail guard for attempting to graze her. Now, the regulations of the jail, the male jail guards weren't even supposed to go into women's cells. They could move them around, but they weren't even supposed to go in their cell. So the fact that he was even in her cell was suspicious. And so eventually she goes on trial in a jury of 6 white and 6 black.
It took the jury an hour and 18 minutes to reach the verdict. The jury members had 3 choices: guilty of second-degree murder, guilty of manslaughter, or not guilty. Jury foreman, 26-year-old Mark Nielsen, a stereo record shop operator, stood at attention to answer the court clerk's question: have you agreed upon your verdict? Nielsen: we find the defendant, Joanne Little, not guilty. Miss Little's head tilted back slightly, her eyes closed, then came the tears and a smile. Her victory was somewhat marred when Judge Hamilton Hobgood, recalling earlier heated courtroom exchanges with Chief Defense Attorney Jerry Paul, sentenced him to 14 days in jail for contempt of court. Chief Prosecutor William Griffin declined to comment on the verdict, but said that the case had to be tried in order to preserve the integrity of the system. The jurors said they did not believe the state had proved its case.
We cleared our minds completely of anything that we felt that could keep us from getting to a unanimous verdict, and on the first vote we all decided.
The state really hadn't shown us enough evidence.
Miss Little, a symbol among women's and civil rights groups, talked about the verdict.
I didn't think that the jury was going to come back as quickly as they did. When they came back, all I could do was, try to block out everything and just sit really stiff. And when he said yes, they had a verdict, you know, and when he said not guilty, I just threw my head back and just, you know, tears just came down because I was so happy that, you know, I would never have to go to bed, you know, thinking, well, I wonder what they're going to do, you know, and with a lot of things hanging over me. And I feel good that I have my freedom.
Found her not guilty of everything based on the coroner said the stab wounds were consistent with self-defense and other things. Basically, you know, she was found not guilty, that her story was true. She moved to New York. She was, in 1981, she got shot. I don't think there's a story knowing why she got shot. I mean, again, she was a woman that seemed like she had some type of issues leading to theft, to street life, or whatever. Maybe she got herself shot, maybe not. She claims scrawled on maybe her car or a mirror in her house, something was death to Joan Little, and that she was shot a year later. In 1981, could there have been like some Klan type of revenge people that would have went to New York and found her and shot her? It's possible. It's certainly possible. It's certainly possible she was doing other stuff and got shot and tried to blame it on that. But, you know, and she lived her life in the 80s. In 1989, she got arrested for being in like maybe a stolen car with some guy, which again, these are not big. She was a criminal. It seemed like she lived not the greatest life, but theft and stealing stuff is not, I mean, you know, you can't get grazaped because of that. Like, it really has one has nothing to do with the other, obviously. And then she disappeared from public view. So no one really knows what happened to Joanne Little after 1989. But this is a crime story in the sense it involves the police. But I just thought this was very historically important case. This was the first time any woman was found not guilty of homicide, or that at least in the modern American period that anyone can find a record of. Now, I'm sometime in history had this ever happened before, probably, but as far as that they had recorded, this was the first time any woman, and ironic it was, or not ironic, but the fact it was a black woman who was in jail. You know, prisoners are obviously deprived of basic constitutional rights, and women at that time, and black people, much less black women. So to have a black woman in the 1970s who was in jail be the first woman found not guilty and was against a cop to defend herself against sexual assault. Well, that's why you take a jury trial, because you depend on other regular people to look through all the other bullshit and see what's going on. So, Joan Little, 50 years ago, our prophet.